This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC, a native Long Island Strong Islander who is a big pickleball advocate. I have the pleasure of having David Ring and Sam Ring, and we're going to talk about Oceanside. We're going to talk about the Pickleball Expo, and we're going to talk about a movement that has no signs of letting up. Thank you, Randy Sussman, Pickle65, for getting us connected. And guys, welcome to your first Halo Talks.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be here.
Awesome. So why don't you talk about when you guys got involved in this global movement and why you decided to basically commit your time and your careers on the game of pickleball?
I'll take that one if you don't mind. So a year ago, my wife put the bug in my ear because she was an avid player, and she knew that I was winding down at work, retiring from a 46-year career. And she knew I was going to drive her crazy, so I had to do something. So I started looking around for real estate, and I got lucky. About 8 months ago, I found a beautiful piece of real estate with the right dimensions, and I cut the deal with the landlord through some negotiations and started the process. And it's very underserved in this community. There's only one competitor that's about 30 minutes away, and they have no parking. This has about 125 spots and 25-foot ceilings. And so it was a no-brainer in terms of the space and to serve what was an unserved opportunity because people were driving endlessly to find courts, indoor courts, and a special place where they could spend time and socialize and play and have some fun.
What were you doing before this?
So I was in consumer electronics. I worked for Nobody Beats the Wiz for 20 years. I was with Best Buy for another 18 years after that. And I finished out my career at Samsung Electronics. And I retired on July 5th. I took 1 week off from retirement and I went right back to work.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like you're ready for full-time retirement.
No.
Good for you. And on the by the way, we used to go to Nobody Beats the Wiz on Old Country Road all the time.
So that was one of mine.
Unfortunately, there was a guy that worked there that used to give away a lot of CDs. Not going to give his last name, but his name's Adam. And he had, we all had like Milli Vanilli CDs, and I'm like, and a lot more. My mom's like, "Where'd you get all those?" Like, "Oh, Adam works at the Wiz." I'm like, "Dude, like they got an inventory control issue there." You weren't running inventory, were you, David?
Yeah, we had a 5-finger discount program.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, there was a little bit of shrinkage. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, streaming probably helps the shrinkage.
Yeah.
Moving on to the location that you acquired, what was that before you turned it into this?
Yeah, interesting enough, it was a sporting facility. It was called Turf Island. There was a batting cage and an indoor lacrosse. It was here for a good 20-something years. Matter of fact, my son, Sam, I had him in here hitting baseballs at the age of 6 and 7. So this was known in the community as a place to bring your children to learn lacrosse, batting, catching, etc. And they defaulted, and I happened to be in the right place at the right time.
So you bought the property, or you leased it?
We leased it. We have a 30-year lease, 10-year with 4 or 5-year renewals, and
good for you.
We got a great deal.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of next generation space that's coming up, and I think there's a lot of fever into the pickleball category, but I'm glad to hear that it seems like you got an A location and an A box, where I think some people look at it and say, hey, the sport will fill it. And it's like the location's got to be the right, layout. And there can't be like all these, columns and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, that's the challenge. I saw a lot of real estate, Bed Bath & Beyond was going out at the time, but they're filled with columns and their square footage was expensive. Warehouse space was ideal. And this is really less than 1/8 of a mile from Costco. So we're pulling a lot of those customers across the board here.
Great.
Yeah.
And Sam, what's your involvement in,
yeah, for sure,
working with your dad and building a business?
Yeah. So it's been a really fun ride so far. We've been open for about 2 or 3 weeks now, but I feel like we've been working together on this for probably over a year at this point. From finding the right real estate to having the ups and downs, if we're getting the lease or not, the construction being done on time, the permitting, all that. It's been a hell of a ride. In terms of my my operational role here, I am mostly focused on all of the marketing, the socials, the sales, the customer service, the software, really the whole operation is what I'm spearheading with the help of my dad and some other family members and some people that we hired, some locals in the area that have a history of teaching pickleball. We really tried to hire people that sort of had a following within the Long Island community in regards to pickleball, which we did a good job of finding. But I'm mostly focused on the back end of things, outside of some customer service and some sales, because driving the business is really what is going to keep the doors open, obviously, and get our name on the map for people who haven't even played yet and for people that are already playing.
And what's your background before this?
Yeah, so my background before this has mostly been just in a lot of B2B sales roles at a few different firms, but nothing to do with pickleball. I started playing pickleball personally probably about 2 years ago in the park, right here in Manhattan. And to this day, every day I walk by the park, there's like 20 new people every time I walk by the park.
Yeah, it's
The
amazing.
sport is just like people are like just catching the bug now. I caught it 2 years ago. And as my dad mentioned, Elisa, my mother and David's wife, she put the bug in his head a couple of years ago looking for a space, and she got into it a while ago. And then I started playing 2 years ago, and it really, I think, got my dad even more interested because I was telling him how all my friends and I are playing every night, every day, and we can't get off the court. So he's like, You know what? We got to look more into this. So that's where we're at.
In Oceanside in general, I mean, it's not that easy to find this type of box with that kind of parking in the area. So it kind of has a little bit of a moat to it, I would think, also.
Yeah, for sure. And then on top of that, we opened up this location in an industrial area right by Costco, which everyone goes to because everyone loves shopping at Costco. Shout out to Costco. We're really trying to turn around the area that we're in. The area right now is a little bit overrun by construction sites, recycling plants, etc. So we're trying to really lift up the area and make it a little bit more, a little bit more feasible for more people to come visit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a local brewery around the corner from us. We partnered with them, a beer and wine place called South Shore Brewery. Shout out to them. And we're doing some cross promotions with them. Eventually, we'll get them in here once we're able to legalize the licensing aspect and do dink and drink nights, singles nights. We're going to do that kind of stuff, parties. We're expanding the space. We have another 8,400 feet coming in October, which will include 3 more courts and a 2,000 square foot party room that will include a kitchen, big video monitors on the wall, overhead projectors. So we'll have corporate events, functions, parties, holiday parties, birthday parties, where they can utilize the space and have courts available. Sam mentioned we hired some folks that have been in the business a while. They're former pros, pickleball instructors, with a great following. We hired Frank, and he's kind of running that for us. We have 3 other pros with Frank. And since there's so many new people joining the sport, they're spending a lot of time with clinics, one-on-one lessons, group lessons. So it's been a really fantastic opportunity for people to come and learn a new sport at all ages. We find that we're really attracting anywhere from, the 20s up to the 70s. And that seems to be the range of folks that are looking to do something and get out of their homes and socialize.
Yeah, I'm shocked too that when I go and play pickleball, the 20-year-olds are playing with 70-year-olds. So it's not like, you have to like segment them. A couple of questions that I want to ask you guys. One, are you guys running a monthly membership model and court times as well? Or how have you got that set up from a revenue model?
Right. So before we opened, we were offering a founder's membership. Basically an entry membership to allow people to subsidize the cost of our different options like open play and private court rentals. We stopped selling that membership the day of our grand opening. That's when it expired. So right now there is not currently a membership required to play at our facility. So everyone's welcome. It's very inclusive, if you will. We want everyone to come enjoy it and to come play and come inside. And in terms of the courts, we have open plays we have private court rentals, we have learn and play leagues, we have clinics, we have like beginner basic classes. We're really trying to appeal to as many people as possible, and especially the people who haven't really ever picked up a paddle yet.
From a standpoint of looking at some of the other models that are out there from a research standpoint, or just to like understand what they're doing, we pulled the number of the franchise disclosure documents on some of these groups to see. We do a lot of things in franchising in the health club industry and the studio space. So there's a part of the franchise agreement. I don't know if you guys have looked at this ever, but it's called Item 19. And out of this document, if I say, hey, I'm going to sell you Dill Dinkers, I can't tell you what your revenue and what your EBITDA is, but I can say, go to the franchise agreement, sign the confidentiality agreement, and then go to Item 19. And that Item 19 will show you our entire network of locations, what their revenue is, what their expenses are, what their cash flow or EBITDA is, what their square footage is, and number of members. There are certain groups that don't publish their Item 19. And historically, I found the only reason why you would not publish your Item 19 is because it doesn't look good.
Right.
So when I find one of these early stage groups that are out there and they're selling pickleball franchises, I'm like, wow, they say they sold like 300 and they're not showing the Item 19. I'm getting a little nervous. Like, did they just sell somebody,
right,
a lemon, and they don't even know, like, you shouldn't really be selling anything until you've like proven the unit economics. And the reason why the franchise is to say, hey, this is more capital efficient to me,
right,
to roll it out. So I'm nervous about a lot of these pickleball franchisees saying like, oh yeah, I got the Dill Dinkers or, Chicken and Pickle. I don't know all of them.
yeah.
Pickle Mall. And I'm like, dude, like, does the franchisor know what the fuck they're doing yet? Like, why are you paying them a fee unless they give you an operating model?
Yeah.
So David, you've been around business a long time. You know what smells and looks like a real business, and like, hey, I might be able to do my own. So my question is, have you looked at those? Second question is, you're going on your own.
We didn't look at a franchisee option. We really took a grassroots approach. We funded it ourselves. And we learned a lot of valuable lessons along the way. There are inherent costs that for a franchisee operator, you got to do your homework. You got to get educated around some of the costs that could surprise you. So clearly, it really comes down to capital expense, comes down to, like you said, your overhead. And then the courts, how are you going to invest? I've been to many clubs where our courts we put a lot of money into the actual court design, more so than any competitor around here. We have 4 layers of rubber on top of a cement floor and then an acrylic paint over that and then the lines. And it's actually a professional court where it's much easier on your body in terms of your hips and your knees, wear and tear. There are other places that just have cement and they slap a coat of paint over cement and that they call that a court. So there are, but it's more expensive, right? And can you afford that? And you have to look at those ROIs and say, can I make money here? So at the end of the day, it's a real estate play. You're selling court time.
Sure.
And with our, event space, and we also opened up a smoothie bar, an iced coffee bar. And so we brought in other amenities along the way to raise revenues. And we're getting a lot of inquiries now into the event space because we're coming into that season with holiday parties, corporate parties.
So 2 questions. One is we do a lot of work in the software space in the health and fitness industry. Did you guys use any kind of pickleball centric software to manage the POS? And if so,
yes.
Can you tell us what that is?
So I can tell you about it for hours because the software is it's so diverse in what it can do. So shout out to Play by Point. Play by Point. Yeah, Play by Point's been working with us. They started working with us probably 3 months before we even opened. So that's how much work goes into actually setting up a proper POS that's capable of doing God's work, if you will.
Right.
Their POS I'm not sure how any club operates without their POS or without their software, I should say. From scheduling programs and running reports and looking at all different types of data points, anywhere from which court in your facility sells the least during which times of the day, during which months of the year, as detailed as that, across the board for everything that you want to learn. It can do mass emails, mass texting, based on the groups. If they're in a beginner class, you can send it all to beginners. If they're in this class to that class, the amount of access that Play by Point enables the business to really use and access is unparalleled by any other software that we interviewed. So we interviewed with multiple softwares. Play by Point is by far the most intriguing and most complex in a good way.
Yeah, with my background in operations at Best Buy and Samsung, a lot of KPIs to follow, and
Sure.
this software uses Tableau as a analytics background capability. So to Sam's point, when I want to run per hour what I'm making from 4 to 6, if there's any report I want, I'm able to vacillate through the various programs. Furthermore, they're 24/7. I've seen Sam communicate with them at midnight when there was an issue or a hiccup, and they resolve it on the spot. I would just say the software is crucial component to anybody who's going to delve into this.
Yeah.
And they have over, what was it, Sam? 700 clubs?
They have about 700 facilities.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last question before we get to the classic event coming up end of October. You could probably keep this facility open 24 hours if you wanted to. What times are you keeping it open now, and how are you thinking about that? Because a hockey rink, kids are going and playing it like, oh, I got 4 a.m. ice time, I got 1 a.m. ice time. I feel like if you're a pickleball evangelist or like you're like out late at night, maybe you got a plan A didn't work out at one of the clubs, D ring,
Right.
Not Sam, not going out. Me and Dave are going out. If we're going out of his clubs, hey man, this, I don't like this. Why don't we go play some pickleball at the expo? What do you think? What's the time?
Well, we started out our hours conservatively. We're running from 8 to 11 p.m. right now. As demand, and remember, we opened up, in the summertime, so late August, early September. As we get into the season, if there's more demand, we'll be more flexible. Our competitor does open up to 1 in the morning. We've been watching and monitoring that action through their calendar. It's not where it needs to be to support the labor yet, but you only really need one person at the front desk.
Yeah, exactly.
So if there's demand, we'll meet that demand. I think as we grow the business, we'll have to revisit that.
Got it. And one question before we go, because I played pickleball in Chicago a couple of months ago, and they had the ability to like replay the point on the video.
Yeah.
And then you could get it sent to you as like, for a fee. Yeah. And I thought like that was awesome. Like you create like a little highlight reel. Have you guys installed that video technology?
Yeah, great question. So we interviewed with a few different software companies that offered that technology. Given the critical mass of our clientele for our facility are baby boomers. And upon, going through the different softwares and the different options from each software, we just concluded that that would not be of value to most of our clientele.
Okay.
But we did look into it. It is a cool technology, and we are open to it in the future, but we don't currently possess that capability.
Well, we are wired for it, however. So if we wanted to add additional cameras onto a particular court, we have one court designated like our champion court. We have that functionality and capability. Matter of fact, being I'm an audio video guy, I brought in a company that specializes in just that. And so our club is completely wired for any music, HVAC, control for. I could see any camera anytime and control everything about the business from my phone. And inevitably, we could add that feature. We just have to wire up a couple more cameras, quite frankly.
Just a complete aside, there was a guy who came to us with a tennis technology where it was going to basically like you'd hit with a pro and it would like give you like a footprint of like, here's where all your balls were in and out. Yeah. And I said to him, why don't you just take the technology of like the line calling technology and sell that? Because I think people in tennis, if you can say, hey, for another $20, you want like the lines called for you automatically. I was like, that's the way you sell this thing. Do they do that in pickleball yet? Where it's like a visual line calling?
They do have that.
It's not some guy in a call center is like calling it from like remote. It's like real. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Play a video replay.
There are apps on the phone. If you put your phone on a tripod and put it behind one of the baselines, you put it high up, extend the tripod camera. There's actually an app from the App Store you can just download that does line calling.
Oh, sweet.
It's like 94% accurate or something like that.
Gotcha.
Close enough.
Yeah.
So 90%, more. That's probably higher than your.
And if you wear your Apple Watch while you're playing, it tells you on the watch.
Jeez. All right, you got to tell me to talk to me about that later. We're huge advocates of pickleball. Just to give you one more tidbit here. So we came up with this term HALO, Health, Active Lifestyle, Outdoors, because I don't like the word wellness. So we say we're health and wellness bankers. Our day job is we help people get money into businesses that are going to further the health, active lifestyle, outdoor lifestyles and, events, and hopefully get rid of like childhood obesity, diabetes, and, loneliness. So once we got involved in pickleball, I'm like, dude, this is like the category killer, or like the outdoor of HALO is pickleball. So we're excited about what you're doing. So give us in closing here, and we could probably talk for hours. But talk about this event that you've got going on, how we could get people over there. We'll fast track this and see if we can get some people to attend. Yeah,
for sure. So we have the New York Indoor Pickleball Classic. That's going to be held October 26th and October 27th. Men's doubles and mixed doubles are Saturday the 26th, and women's doubles are Sunday the 27th. We have unbelievable prizes that we're going to be giving away, such as, not limited to, kitchen backpacks. KTCHN is a new company out of Utah. So shout out to them. They make the nicest pickleball bag on the market without question. It's fully leather, fully waterproof. It's got more pockets than you'd ever imagine. It's got all the features you want, and it's very, very high end, and it's going to be a great giveaway. On top of that, Yola is sponsoring our facility, so shout out to Yola. And we'll be giving away some of their higher end paddles as well. We didn't want to make it a tournament where you just get a medal and you just walk out. We're also working on different tiers of cash prizes for our bronze through gold winners, and really want to incentivize people to come have a good time and really enjoy themselves, especially at a brand new place. And then lastly, like I said earlier, it's going to be on Pickleball TV Network, live streamed on Roku and Apple. Pickleball TV Network is coming to set up cameras throughout the facility for the 2-day event. And then on top of that, we have the National Pickleball League coming the day of both of the events, the 26th and the 27th, to host some of their championship games for the National Pickleball League at our facility. Awesome. So it's going to be a hell of an event, and we love it. If anyone from all over can come on down. We have people registered from Connecticut. We have someone registered from Rhode Island, a bunch of people from Manhattan, and obviously a bunch from Long Island.
Awesome. So we'll get an email blast out. We'll make some intros, as I referenced before. Right. I'm fortunately, I'm at my Emory 30-year undergrad reunion that weekend, so I'm not going to be able to make it. I do have like a couple of touch points to Oceanside. One is my buddy Mike Pesca, the Pesca family. I don't know if you know those guys, Pesca. He's one of my close friends, went to Emory with me. Used to be a sports analyst, radio shows on NPR. So I'll make sure he knows about the event.
Great.
The second thing, did you go to Oceanside High School, Sam?
No, my sister did. I did not.
Okay. So there's the ex NFL quarterback, Jay Fiedler from Miami. Yeah. So he went to Oceanside High School, and his dad used to own a camp called Brookwood. And I went to Camp Laconda, which was across the lake. We were the same age. So I used to have to guard Fiedler back in the day, whatever sport we were playing. And I was a decent basketball player, but not anywhere near like the physical structure of that guy. So I used to like taunt him a little bit, like, come on, Jay, take me to the hole, and I'd be like, then he's like on the free throw line, on an N1. He's like, hey, Pete, man, I took you. He told me, like, I'm sorry about that. So that's my claim to fame on that front. But love what you guys are doing. Focus on this one location. I feel like there's so much that can be put into it. That's one of the questions with the hours. We also did something with a ninja park that basically I said, hey, you're not really spending any money on marketing. Why aren't you spending any money on marketing? He's like, bro, I've got 400 kids that come in here a weekend for birthday parties. Right. And every one of their parents has to sign a waiver that has their name on it and how old the kid is. So my leads are like 400 leads every Monday. So
Right.
I feel like every time you guys do a private event, make
Right.
somebody sign that waiver with a little checklist, and like, bam, you got like basically just leverage like negative marketing cost.
Yep, 100%. We you got to leverage the data, right? Anytime people are at the facility, you got to collect the data. So I hear you.
Yeah, and then David, if there's a Dropbox where I can send back some of those CDs from the Wiz, let me know.
I think they're obsolete.
Yeah, anyway,
Maybe
all
on
right,
eBay.
that's fine.
Those days are over.
I grew up 2 doors down from Jay Fiedler. Jay and Scott, I grew up with Jay and Scott on Judith Lane, and Kenny and Donna Fiedler, who owned Lenny Lenape. I grew up
Lenny
with those
Lenape,
guys.
and then they moved it to Brooklyn.
Yeah, Judith Lane, great spot. Hey,
That's where I
I
grew
played
up.
tennis behind that Oceanside High School quite often.
That's
Awesome.
right, near the Red
Yeah.
Store.
Yes, the red
Right,
store's
the
gone,
red
by the
store.
way. Now it's like not sure what to call it. Something
I know,
else.
it's gone. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm glad to see you guys, being a leader in this, and it sounds like you know what you're doing, and I think your results are going to exceed what your expectations are, because this is going to be huge, and it's only getting bigger. So, we're happy to get involved, help this show, maybe host like a Halo Talks. We do these things live. Maybe we could do a Halo Talks where we bring up, 100 people, and we do these on the side, get a pickleball tourney going, and go from there. All right, guys, great work.
Hey, thank you
Talk
guys.
to meet you. Later, guys.
Thank you both.
Appreciate it.